Hello and welcome to a new video here on my channel here at commaik. It is December 2019 and I want to take advantage of the fairly good weather to make some preparations. To meet in order to install my existing system on this section of my lawn next year to expand lawn irrigation. At the same time, this idea was also born out of necessity. As it turns out, my grounding electrode in the house is no longer sufficient. This means that today I will be laying the first water pipes in parallel with installing a grounding electrode. Install here in this area. How am I doing all of this? Do I proceed? Stay tuned and see you very soon. Yes, my dear ones, what has happened? I have put some new electrical systems into operation. Among other things, a photovoltaic system on the roof of my carport. In this context, it has become clear that the existing grounding electrode, which I have been using so far, used for the grounding of the house is no longer sufficient. In this context, I have of course decided to install the new grounding electrode, lay or expand them. The whole thing is supposed to happen here over this area via another rod electrode, that is a grounding electrode, for the depth. In addition to the current plan, I would like to propose laying a significantly greater amount of wire across this particular area to ensure comprehensive coverage and enhanced connectivity, or lay potential cables. If I now have to make the transition because the cable comes from over there and must go here to the lawn, I have already opened up the sidewalk. Once I have done that, I can make the preparations to lay the necessary and essential water pipes for the infrastructure at the same time, simultaneously. My plan for today is to be here on this shoulder, on this white little gravel is going to be placed behind there to install a conduit with a grounding cable. Additionally, a water pipe will be installed to eventually reach the other side of to be able to supply the driveway with water. At the same time, I also want to make the first preparations for the irrigation system. I don't want to dig it up twice. The whole thing is actually indeed supposed to go under the sidewalk. As you can see, I have used the last few days. We have nearly reached temperatures around the freezing point, that is between 2 degrees and 3 degrees. As you can clearly see, I can still dig very well indeed in the ground, in the soil, and I must say, it is quite remarkable. I have already removed the old gravel, which was previously in the garden. There, I want to lay the pipes and then restore the sidewalk so that it is does not remain open in the winter. At the same time, simultaneously, I have currently started to dig here right now. I will carefully and meticulously dig a trench here and will place it somewhere on the area in this specific location. Completely bury the grounding electrode in the ground and connect it to the grounding cable. From there, a stainless steel band or a steel wire with a 10 mm cross section, approximately or so in diameter, will be installed and laid behind my gabions. Next year, the cable is to be laid out over this large area down there. In particular, will be and then covered with soil. I believe that then my potential for the entire house will be sufficient again. I will now continue to carefully dig the trench and then carefully lay the pipes in it so that they are securely placed. I know exactly how deep and precisely how far I need to dig to the right depth. I have now completely dug out the trench, as you can see, from the shelves back there to here at the edge. Here it is gently sloped down in this area to the gabions to ensure the creation of a smooth and seamless and effective transition. Now at this moment, I will carefully and precisely drive this ground anchor into the ground, which is supposed to effectively create the necessary potential equalization. The rod is to be completely submerged. Nothing should be sticking out from above. The connection is made securely and effectively via the grounding cable. I have already absolutely laid out the cable. Due to the cold temperatures, it is relatively stiff. This is a single core cable for the potential equalization. This is a grounding cable. I will definitely still lay it in a conduit. Better safe than sorry. I will carefully and gently pull this cable through under the two boards with precision and accuracy and connect it securely and firmly to the post. To ensure stability and durability, I will also carefully and securely attach the high-quality, corrosion-resistant stainless steel cable to the sturdy pole, making sure that it is properly aligned and fastened for optimal performance and safety. The cable is extremely and very stiff. Originally, I had planned to work only with this cable, but without the necessary tools for bending, that is not possible for me. That's why I use the grounding cable up here. The potential wire is also to be laid in the trench. He starts very carefully at the edges and then makes a connection with the grounding electrode here. The grounding cable that comes from the house connection box. The potential wire then continues behind the gabions. In that particular location, I am planning to carefully lay the wire along the path that runs directly behind the stone baskets, continuing this process meticulously until I reach the very end of the designated area. This involves ensuring that the wire is securely placed and follows the intended route without any deviations, maintaining a consistent alignment throughout the entire length of the path. To begin with, the first step involves carefully arranging and organizing all the necessary items and materials up here in a systematic manner, ensuring everything is in its proper place. I also dug up the other side a bit more to get more convenient access. It then goes to the corner of the house and then to the left to my existing house connection, which is already in place. As you can see, the process of this task is now completely and successfully finished. In the second step, I will also run a 25 PE pipe down here. The potential cable will also be laid up to the corner of the house. This gives me option for a water supply on the other side of my driveway. To build up, I don't have a water connection over there. I need to direct the water from here to there. Since I have already dug everything up, it makes sense to go ahead and lay the rest in as well. I will, in addition to this, furthermore lay a second conduit for the electrical system in the trench. This also ends right at the corner of the house. I have no idea when I will need another power supply, a control cable, or network cables, or whatever I need here. And once I have the trench open, I will lay the conduit at the same time. It's simply included and can be very effortlessly connected later. The conduit is now carefully and securely in the trench. The potential cable, which is also underground in nature, is also underground. That was certainly difficult. The cable is very stiff and can only be unwound poorly from the roll. Especially when you are alone, it is difficult to keep the wire straight piece by piece. To bend, there is really indeed a lot of tension in that part. I will very carefully lay the cable down here and leave it gently and securely on the reel over the winter. Continue carefully and steadily in this direction in the spring. In the end, under the gabions to the large area, the grounding wire will be safely and securely buried in the ground. I also fill everything behind the gabions with soil. The potential equalization can certainly therefore take place over a large area. The compensation fundamentally, in essence, occurs through the grounding electrode that I have driven into the ground. The cable comes from right over here. I securely connected it to the grounding electrode safely and firmly using a reliable and durable metal connector piece. An additional extra nut is screwed on the other side. I have placed the product links in the description below the video. I have run a second cable over here and connected it to the potential wire. There are also a variety of different suitable components, options, and alternatives available for this that can be considered. Everything is interconnected. If I had encountered bigger problems with the wire, I would have cut it and newly connected. For that, there are such connectors. In this trench, my 25 PE water pipe will also be added too. I am patiently waiting right here for the mailman. He should be coming soon. I will use the waiting time to carefully straighten the wire and securely install it better in the trench with some extra time. The wire is extremely stiff, rigid and unyielding. It is indeed quite extremely challenging to lay. I don't really know how to secure it in this trench. I will need to keep that in mind when closing the trench. In order to ensure that the wire remains securely in place and does not spring up unexpectedly, it is crucial for me to thoroughly and carefully compact the soil. This process involves pressing down on the soil with sufficient force to eliminate any air pockets and create a stable foundation for the wire. I can also as well install the second conduit, which is necessary and required for the electrical system. I now have enough time for that. The cable goes around the corner of the house. There is the other grounding electrode there. I will just connect that a bit. Afterwards, the grounding electrode should be back to the level where it belongs. In the past, my old grounding electrode was sufficient, but due to the many technologies in the house, I received the recommendation to install the potential equalization, to improve it in order to ensure that there is no possible damage. Any damage. I have completely and thoroughly finished installing the conduit and the potential conductor completely. I also just relayed the sod. It all looks rough since I just laid the grass sod. I don't need to start with the roller at this particular moment. It is currently too cold for that at all times. I have to wait for spring a bit longer. In addition, the soil naturally and gradually settles on its own as a result of various weather conditions such as frost, rain, and snow. I will completely rebuild the lawn in the spring. Then I will tidy up the trench a little bit more to ensure everything is perfect. This will be another project on its own. There is another new video. I don't have to invest much work in that today. Nevertheless, a brief look into the future. I have laid another empty conduit here. My plan is as follows. Back there by my garden shed, I will install an electrical distribution board. Install? I will lay empty conduit there. At first it remains on the lawn. The water supply will also be routed through this trench and the necessary infrastructure. Here, I carefully set an angle and install the pipe under the sidewalk. There, just another angle slowly and gently comes, and the pipe runs along the house wall. I will also lay a second PE pipe in this trench as part of the ongoing project and let it end here for future use and potential expansion. I also want to install a lawn irrigation system in this lawn system. This irrigation system needs water circulation. The pipe that is supposed to serve the driveway or the other side of the driveway, I would like to be able to shut it off separately. At the same time, the sprinkler system should be running on this lawn area so that I don't have to dig everything out multiple times. I can lay the pipes right away. Lay in the ground, somewhere over there, I will install the distribution box. There, the valve box is being installed at this very moment. From down there, the water pipe and the power distribution from my gabions come up. I have also planned a water connection down there. Absolutely, everything must fit into a concept. Before winter, I first need to finish this construction site to put the paving stones back on the sidewalk. To get the sidewalk, I am almost done. I just actually really need the water pipes. The mail has not arrived yet. I still have to wait 2 hours. I took the time to lay my underground cable, or rather the potential cable, under my gravel along the house wall and connect it to my existing grounding electrode. Then I at least improved the grounding function, as it was recommended to me, and I can complete the sub-project. The post was actually here, and brought me my PE pipe. As you can see, I have already installed the pipe. Here I have deactivated the pipe. On the other hand, I connected the whole thing at an angle. I can very easily and smoothly rotate the pipe in the direction I need it. I sealed the pipe so that no dirt and no animals can get into the pipe over the winter. Arrive. I also taped and labeled the conduit so that I literally know what goes where. I will not lay the other water pipes today at this particular moment. I will do that in the spring. I noticed that the pipe coming off the roll is so much. It is stiff, which means it cannot be laid in a straight line at all. This PE pipe keeps curling up continuously while being laid out due to its inherent stiffness because it is stiff. If the pipe is in the sun, maybe half an hour in the blazing sun, then the pipe will become nice and soft and flexible all by itself. This can then be easily bent and easily laid out in length. I just accomplished what I had planned for today. A little. Here I leave it open. Everything will indeed be connected here later. I can just close up the sidewalk again, just a bit. First, I will extremely carefully embed the pipes with bedding gravel and sand. Next, the gravel is carefully installed, thoroughly compacted, and leveled off. Afterwards, the paving stones will be carefully laid again. I will do that tomorrow. It is already too late today. I have carefully and meticulously filled and thoroughly and completely compacted the substructure, ensuring utmost stability. I have left enough space so that I can carefully and precisely lay my paving stones. The stones have a height of 8 cm. I have an average of approximately between 9 feet and 10 feet of air to the edge, or so. I will now install the gravel, or the bedding gravel, and relay the paving stones. Install. Many years ago, I built a simple aid for this and some other useful tools. I have a board here, which fits exactly between my two boards that I have meticulously measured and precisely cut to fit perfectly. The bottom edge is variable. At the moment, I have set the lower edge to 6 cm, even though it says 7 cm here. I place the board at the edge of the sidewalk. Then, the laying gravel will be filled in front of the board. After that, I can level the area with the board and have an even laying surface. The paving stones are simply just laid on top of these. I have just now prepared that. I carefully leaned the board gently against the existing paving stones and securely with great care and precision to ensure stability. I have completely filled in the laying gravel at the front, ensuring that every part is covered thoroughly and evenly. At that point, I find myself in a situation where it becomes necessary for me to take action and proceed with the next steps. Carefully and gently pull the board cleanly through, ensuring that you achieve a perfectly smooth and even surface. and have a nice clean surface. Here the paving stones can be easily inserted. When I go over the stones with the plate compactor at the conclusion, it approximately pushes them down by 2 centimeters below. The distance to the edge is 6 centimeters. The stones are 8 centimeters. The stones would protrude 2 centimeters. The vibrating plate then carefully and gently presses the stones approximately 2 centimeters into the gravel. At the edges there may be small piles. You have to help it along by hand. Occasionally, a few large stones also appear. Here is some comprehensive and detailed information regarding frost protection. It gets really exciting when you have larger areas. For example, here at this corner, then I usually use larger pullers, or the very large spirit levels with a length of 2 men or 3 men. I carefully attach my leveling board to these long strips securely with a clamp, and precisely using a sturdy clamp. Then it will be pulled around the corner in a very smooth and controlled manner. This way, I have nice even areas that are uniform from edge to edge. I will now go through with the whole thing and piece by piece my paving stones. I took it out here and set it up there, putting it back in according to the proven pattern which I use for my sidewalks. This will take a while. I will show you the result shortly. I have simply already laid the first meter. You can see that there is still a significant height difference. Some people might also say, man, why didn't you do the borders right away with it? Adjusted. You can see it here. There are large gaps that have formed. This is simply due to the fact that this entire area here, as part of a drainage system, has been excavated to a depth of about 5 meters. A new channel has been set, and despite the compaction, it has persistently continued to sink over the years, over time. That's why this dent came up that I wanted to fix. I have to be completely honest, the desire and mood to take out all the boards once again, tear down, I haven't had that. The entire project in its entirety consists of installing pipes and improving the potential infrastructure. That means I will leave the edges as they are. I lay the stones just a bit higher than the curbs. You will see at the end, I will not be entirely and absolutely flush with the edge in any way at all. Because unfortunately, I now find myself in a situation where I have to go around the corner, which is just around the block, and as a result, I am unable to proceed any further with my small trusty board. To securely attach the board, you should carefully position it against a large, flat level surface, and then use a sturdy clamp to hold it firmly in place, ensuring it remains stable and aligned. Both are lying on the edge. The level stays on the left side, and I also pull the board over here, just around. I carefully level the area with my laying gravel, and can then precisely place the remaining paving stones. To apply, after carefully examining the arrangement, I decided to place all the stones back into their original positions. However, I made a few subtle adjustments to the overall pattern, ensuring that it maintained its intended aesthetic while introducing a slight variation that enhanced its visual appeal. The offset is not quite perfect at this point, but for a side entrance to the office, that should be perhaps adequately sufficient, and perhaps even more. The vibrating plate is now introduced into the process. This important step ensures that all materials are compacted thoroughly and evenly. The vibration helps settle particles, remove air gaps, and create a stable foundation, which is crucial for the structure's integrity and durability. Then these edges will also disappear. These are the approximately 2 centimeter height offsets that I have personally installed. The stones are a bit shaken. The whole entire thing is not absolutely flawless. The vibrating plate is simply too light and too small for that. This is a 1/30 compactor plate. It achieves 13 centimeters. I think I can live with these transitions here. That is 2 mm to 3 mm. It will adapt and transform to new environments over time. It seems that I have some bumps in the sidewalk. For example, here or over there, you can see that the stones are higher than the curbs. But as I said, that was done intentionally by me, because the 2 boards that are installed here have sagged significantly due to the weight and age of the materials. However, I want to ensure that when the lawn robot is operating or when I am using the large lawnmower, this is taken into account. Carefully drive over the area to have a clean edge. I have just very carefully laid the paving stones level and straight. Finally, I will carefully and thoroughly apply the joint gravel, ensuring it is evenly distributed, and sweep it into the joints. It will stay here. The rain will then naturally wash it into the joints by itself. From time to time, I help out with the broom. Then the sidewalk will be just like it was before. Even a little bit more improved since I have successfully repaired the depression that had formed right in the middle. And at the same time, I was able to successfully complete my main concern, the important and crucial task of the installation of the pipes, which was quite challenging, but ultimately rewarding in the end. If you have ideas, critiques, suggestions for improvement, or just want to share a few sentences like, if you want, use the comments. You will receive a response from me as soon as possible. If you want to know how it all continues, here on my lawn area, with the expansion of the lawn irrigation system and the control, such as efficiently and effectively and so on, then subscribe. My channel, activate the bell, and you will receive a notification as soon as a new video is online. Thank you very much for watching. Until we shall meet again once more next time,